Hello, I am Victoria Jones, the University Archivist at Florida Gulf Coast University, and today we will be doing a brief introduction to archives. The goals for today are to answer 4 questions. What are archives? Why are archives important? What do university archives and special collections at FGCU do? And how do you find access to archival materials? So, first question, what are archives? I would like for you to take a second to go ahead and pause the video. And if you're by yourself, maybe jot down some of your thoughts to the question, what are archives? And if you're watching this with a friend or someone with you, have a quick discussion and trying to decide what you think archives are. Okay, great. I hope you had some good thoughts or a good discussion. Before we move on, and I'll give you a pretty short and sweet, but quite good, I think, definition of archives. Archives are collections of records which have been selected for permanent preservation because of their historical value. There's 2 really key parts of this that I want to highlight, and that's the word selected and the phrase permanent preservation. And so when an item comes into the archive is essentially saying that they wish to keep it in perpetuity. And that's part of the reason why selection is so important, is because that means maintaining the item, keeping it in good condition, the proper environmental conditions, and sometimes even migrating it across formats, which can be really time intensive. So this is not the only definition of archives, but I do think it's, while short, very descriptive, and it leaves a lot of room because there are a lot of different types of archives. So one that you might readily already know about are university and college archives. That's what the archive here at FGCU is, but there's also a lot of different types. Some of the other ones might be museum archives, community archives, church archives, government archives. Each one of these fits that previous definition, but all of them have a very specific or slightly different mission or goal. So question number 2 is, why are archives important? Why do we do what we do? Why is it worth all of the time and effort it takes to preserve materials for permanent preservation? And again, I will be asking you to pause the video and jot down your thoughts or discuss it with a friend on what are some reasons why you think archives are important. Okay, I hope you had, again, a really good discussion or a nice brainstorming session. The definition that I will be providing is a little bit long, but I really do think it's worth it, so bear with me. This is from the International Council on Archives, and they say that archives are important because archives are witnesses to the past. They provide evidence, explanation, and justification both for past actions and current decisions. Archives enable society to undertake a wide range of roles that enable civilized communities to take root and flourish. From enabling education and research, providing entertainment and leisure, to protecting human rights and confirming identity. Archives are unique, contemporaneous records, and so once lost, cannot be replaced. It is only through proper identification, care, and wide access that the vital role that archives has can be fully realized to the benefit of humanity. As I said before, this is a longer answer to the question why archives are important, but I do think it's really critical, and I think it touches on a lot of different ways that archives are important and useful to society. I'd like you to take a second to think, did you mention any of these? Did you miss any of these? Do you think the definition thinks too highly of archives maybe? Or maybe you've noticed something that you think is missing from the definition. Just take a second and sort of give that some thought and roll it around in your mind, if you will. The next question we'll be addressing is, what do we do here at FGCU's University Archives and Special Collections? Well, that's a really great question. There's kind of a lot of different ways to answer that, but the short and brief version is that University Archives, which is the UA of UASC, focuses on collecting, preserving, and sharing the institutional history and culture of FGCU, while Special Collections, the SC side of UASC, curates a collection of rare materials documenting the cultural and environmental history of Southwest Florida. So who can use the archives here at Florida Gulf Coast? Absolutely anyone. Some archives do have limitations on who can use them or when certain people can use them. We don't really, other than our normal, operating hours. Anyone and everyone is allowed to come and use our archival materials. We are not limited to professional researchers. We are open to the public, so alumni and community members are welcome. And then really anybody from anywhere in the entire world can access the collections that we have online, which I will be talking about in a little bit. So now you know what archives are, why they're important, and what do we do here on campus. But you're probably wondering, what are you supposed to do with this information? How do I do research? How do I access the archive? What are we doing here? And if that's what you're thinking, I'm really happy, because the next question I have for you is how to use archival material and how to find archival material. So a really neat tool that is used in archives are finding aids. So they're kind of like a research guide if you've recently been on the library website, or kind of like an outline a bit to an archival collection. It's specifically a tool that's used to provide additional information and context. And while the exact form and content within a finding aid can vary, they typically will include inventories, dates, biographical and historical information, and some indication of the size of the collection. All of our finding aids are online. They can be accessed at archives.fgcu.edu. Now you need to know, how do I use this material? I've got this old photo or this old letter in front of me. What do I do? Well, this could be a whole entire video on its own, but 4 key things to sort of look for when you're doing primary source research or archival research is to try and identify the historical context. That'll tell you a lot about what that item is. You want to think about the audience. Who was that item created for? The perspective, so who created it and kind of like why they were creating it, which leads into the 4th one, which is, what is the purpose of this? That picture was specifically from our digital collections. And so I showed you the finding aid, and that will sort of include both digital materials and physical materials. But if you can't make it into the archive, you can also access the digital FGCU special collections. And so you can see that we have a number of different collections here. And so you can access these materials online from the comfort of your home or your dorm. Very useful. And you can get to this from the library's main page. But if you ever find yourself stuck and you want to use the archive, or maybe you think you might need the archive, but you're not quite sure what to do or how to do it, feel free to go ahead and contact us. We can be reached at libarchives@fgcu.edu, or you can give us a call. You're always welcome to contact your subject librarian, and they can help you with research and put you in contact with us, or you can always chat the library or give us a text, and somebody will help you out to the best of their ability, and you'll probably end up contacting us eventually if you're looking for archival material. If you really liked this presentation and you want help from me specifically, you are more than welcome to, and I'd absolutely love to help you out. You can email me directly at vjones@fgcu.edu or give me a phone to my direct extension at 7614. I hope that this presentation was helpful and it gave you a nice introduction to archives, and I hope to see you in the archives soon.